Hello everyone, thank you for attending my live stream today. As you know, my name is RJ, I am Moonshadow. And before we get into the meat or the main portion of the video, I would just like to give you some background about what we're doing today. So, over a decade ago, I had a spiritual awakening. I went through a spiritual journey. It wasn't really one event that sparked this. I was always interested in spiritual things. And I was just, reading different books, watching different videos about spirituality, the law of attraction. Have you heard of the book The Alchemist, The Secret? Many more, but yeah, I just started reading about all that, and it really resonated with me. So, like I said, I was watching many YouTube videos back then, and there were many spiritual gurus, uh, I used to make all the videos about different topics, and it really resonated with me. So, um, one of the videos that I came across was about the Akashic Records, which is kind of like the internet, but or the cloud now, where all knowledge is preserved in the clouds in uh, a higher realm, if you will. And one of the videos about the consequences was from a woman named Teal. Well, back then her name was Teal Swan, but she's now known as Teal Swan. And she also known as the Spiritual Catalyst. And she was just amazing, and what she said in the video was awesome. I loved it. It was really inspirational, really insightful, and motivational. I really liked it. So when I looked her up, I realized she had a whole section of videos about these different spiritual topics. And then I started watching her, um, all her previous videos. And she also made weekly videos, so I started watching them. And I also noticed she wrote a book, The Sculpture in the Sky. So I got that book, and I even contacted her and I told her how amazing she was and how well she moved me in spirituality, and we just exactly got hold of me. And we hit it off really well. We, we became friends, and we are closer and closer as time went on. Even to this day. Um, she's a sweetheart. Um, and, I got into the Lord after we started talking. Um, she, well, she also went to different places to talk about her spirituality and help people with their pain and traumatic issues. And, you know, she really moving person. I love her. If you're watching, Sheila, I love you. But yeah, she actually invited me to one of her workshops. Um, and obviously I went and I met her in person, and that was an awesome experience. I met many people at that workshop. Amazing group of people. We even had dinner together. Um, yeah, and it's amazing to me that that was 10 years ago. Well, shortly after that workshop, she emailed me and asked me to be in one of her weekly videos. She wanted to interview me about disabilities, my disability, how it relates to me, how it relates to spirituality, how I dealt with it, and so on. So she interviewed me, and I will admit it was a little bit longer than her previous videos, but that's okay. She's all for it. And then on March 8th, 2014, it came out, and here it is 10 years later, March 8th, 2024. Man, who would have thought 10 years go by, you know? Time flies, and that's why I say make the most of every moment you have. So, today I thought I would, well, first of all, I have not watched that video since it came out, shortly after. I mean, I watched it a few times afterwards it came out. Um, I definitely haven't seen it in years, at least not the whole thing. So, I thought I would sit here and watch it with you guys. If you haven't seen it, if you have, great. If you haven't, you're about to see it now, just with the RJ commentary. So, yeah, hopefully this goes well. And that's why I move my camera in the other corner so that, well, when we made this video, well, before it came out, we captioned it so that you would be able to understand what I'm saying. So I moved the camera up in the corner so that you can read the caption. So, yeah, so let's just watch it and you can see my reaction, and I will I will comment on anything, you know, if there's any updates or misconceptions, that I'm looking back at it 10 years later. But, um, I'm really proud of this. I was happy to do it, and it meant the world to me that she asked me. Um, yeah, so um, I think that's all I have to say for now. probably say more than that. But, what was the answer, shall we? Hopefully you can see that. And here we go.
Hello everyone. For this Ask Teal episode, I wanted to do it on disabilities. But rather than talk at you for a lengthy amount of time, I wanted to have someone who has an actual disability on with me, so that it wouldn't just be me teaching you about something which I'm theorizing about. It was somebody who was actually experiencing that perspective who can talk to you also today. So this is my good friend now, RJ. And what I want to say first is that many people think that genetic coding and issues associated with genetics is what's causing disabilities. But that is like saying that light comes from a light bulb, when we know that the story of where light comes from started way before the light bulb. So what we really need to do is to understand that genetic abnormality is a symptom as well. It's a byproduct of what was first done with thought, focus, and consciousness. Now, it's really important to understand also that people who come into this life, we're talking running start with birth defects and things like that, which we would look at and call a disability. That is a choice that being, the soul within the person, that is projecting the person, chose upon incarnating into this reality. And now, I know that a great many people are going to balk when I say that, because it's easy for someone who doesn't have a visible disability to say that somebody might choose into the experience of being disabled. After all, most of us who don't have disabilities would say, why the hell would someone choose that? But we have to understand that what Source is after is a new perspective. And that's exactly what is happening when you see somebody who has what we call a disability. It's somebody who has a completely unique perspective. Having a disability is a very specific kind of contrast, and with each different disability, that's a different kind of contrast, which causes a different kind of perspective, which causes a different kind of expansion, and those incredible lessons that are learned through that experience adds to the expansion of our universe. So to start with this conversation that we're going to have, this Ask Teal episode, I want you to first explain to us what your disability is and what that means your day-to-day life is like.
Well, first of all, hello and thank you for having me. My name is Onyx, and I have 3 different disabilities. One being cerebral palsy, and some people say cerebral palsy, which has a different variation depending on the person. In my case, I have it to where I have the use of my limbs, but I'm unable to walk. And this originates from a lack of oxygen to the brain either before or during birth. And then the second disability I have is called cleft lip and palate, which is visible right here, where there is a hole there used to be a hole in the roof of my mouth, and it was open when I was born, and I had surgery shortly after to put it back together. So the after effects of that was my speech impairment. And my third disability is, I wouldn't say epilepsy, but I do have seizures, and they did not appear until 2000, and I have not had one since 2005. But I started having them again.
Good job on not having seizures since 2005.
Yeah.
Let me guess, that's when you started expressing your emotions.
Yeah,
oh man. Alright, so what do we want to talk about? I think it's really important that the majority of this Ask Teal episode be about what your overall message is, because we're talking to people who want to understand the spiritual reasoning for having disability, and also you want to talk to people with disabilities. And so what I want to start on is this idea that absolutely everybody has limitations. That's something you and I were talking about earlier, right? That everybody, there's a difference. Everybody's different, and everybody has certain limitations. And those limitations cause a certain amount of contrast, right?
Yeah.
But what we're really seeing, basically, when we're seeing a disability, is somebody who is focused on what is inappropriate or what is wrong. And that's the basic society has that opinion of disability. A disability means you can't do something which you quote-unquote should do. So would you agree that the focus is basically that something has gone wrong, when spiritually that's not the way it is? It's focused on what has gone right.
Yes. The word, to me, the word disability focusing on the negative, or has a negative connotation to it. Whereas with me, I believe that everyone has a different ability. We're all unique and different.
Very much so. So what do you think is it that causes the most amount of pain for people who have disabilities?
I believe that there are, first of all, there are two ways you're having a disability. You can either be born with it, or you can acquire it later on in life. So, to answer your question, it is easier to answer it for those who acquire it later in life, whereas I believe they feel that they have lost something.
Yes. Yes, in fact, that's the way that I was going to explain it earlier. That universally, if somebody is born with a disability, that's a different set of contrast that someone's experiencing from somebody who, say, breaks their spine when they're alive or something because they lost the ability to walk. And so part of the contrast that we're experiencing in them is a more extreme version of limitation, actually, because they know what the opposite feels like. And what's interesting is most people who line up with it after they're here, what they're really experiencing is, because of the limitation, is extreme levels of desire for freedom. The desire for the ability. That's a sense of freedom, right? And so they deliver the most amount of expansion in terms of freedom in this world.
Yeah. And I believe everybody in this universe wants a sense of independence. But we are all interdependent.
Yes. So wouldn't you say, this is what somebody in my position would say as a spiritual guide, that one of the biggest blessings that comes along with cerebral palsy is that you have to learn the lesson of interdependence. Being in the situation you're in, being completely independent is not an option, right? So you have to learn to let people into your heart. You have to let them help. You have to let them play a role in your life. Independence is really not an option for any of us, but most of us harbor the illusion that it is. For you, you can't harbor the illusion, can you?
Right. There are different levels. More, some people have that ability to have a greater sense of independence than others. Like such as me. Like you said, I have to rely on others to help me with whatever I cannot physically do.
Did you ever have a problem with that?
You mean medically?
No, like did it ever bother you that people had to help you, or that you were in a state where you had to rely on them? Did that ever bother you?
No, not really. Because I knew that I needed help, and when I needed the help, I asked for it. Well, I manifested.
What would you say to somebody who has a disability that has a big problem with needing help, that has a problem with the fact that they can't be entirely independent?
Asking for help. Well, I would tell them that we all need help. They were capable of doing anything and everything that they put their mind to, and to not discourage themselves. I would encourage them to do everything to the best of their ability.
That sounds very good. Would you agree with me that comparison is really what's causing the most amount of pain when it comes to disabilities? Because we understand that when you have a disability, what people are calling that, it means that there's a certain level of contrast. Stuff like I can't get up the stairs, or, stuff like that. There's a certain amount of contrast there. But what's causing the suffering, the serious amount of suffering, is that a person with a disability is comparing themselves to other people. So they're comparing their physical experience to other people's physical experience and feeling, by virtue of doing that, what they can't do.
Right. So in that scenario, I would tell them and encourage them to not focus on what they can't do, but what they can do. We all have a gift or unique power that is beyond our physical realm, and we just need to realize that. And once we do realize that, then we can get a greater sense of what we're capable of and use that positive energy to move ourselves towards our own personal happiness.
Oh, I completely agree. I like to describe it to the people this way. If somebody landed on planet Earth and they could fly, and it was a person, so this is not another species, it's another person that can fly. Right now in our day-to-day lives, we don't feel like it really sucks to not be able to fly. We don't think about it, right? Most of us don't anyways. But if somebody could fly, we would suddenly feel the pain in our disability to fly. But it's because we are comparing ourselves to other people's physical experience. We're not understanding, which is, I think, critical for people who suffer from disabilities. We're not understanding that we chose to come into this very specific perspective. So instead of looking at everybody like they should have a similar perspective and a similar experience, whether that's walking or whether that's talking or whatever that is, that's not necessarily the way that the universe looks at it. The universe wants a very specific and different, unique perspective. And so by saying, oh, I should be another way than I am, we're creating all of that suffering.
Exactly. And that just amazed me what you said. I also believe that society plays a huge role in defining regular everyday life, such as disability. Whereas, they set aside these group of people have a disability. Why? Because they are incapable of doing this one thing.
Yeah, and I feel like most of those of us that are in society that don't have technically a visible disability. I can tell you we have many that are not on the surface, but when we don't technically have a visible disability, a lot of us are looking at people with disabilities with an attitude of sympathy. We don't understand the difference between empathy and understanding and sympathy. And when we feel emotionally sympathetic, when we have sympathy for somebody, it doesn't feel good. Emotionally, it feels bad because we're basically focused on their limitation. And so that's what we're feeding is their limitation. And if we were to look at beings who have incarnated with a physical disability with the eyes of truth, we would look at the value of the choice that they made. That's what we would be doing.
Yeah. And even before we came into this life, yeah.
So do you feel, here's a good question. Do you feel like you chose this? Because I can sit here all day long and say, look, you chose to come in with a disability, and you know what a lot of people with disabilities are thinking. They're thinking, she's a bitch.
I do. I don't even call it a disability. I call it a different ability because I don't focus on what I can do. I focus on what I can do, and that is spreading love and light and positive energy to others so that they can expand their minds to see that they are capable of doing more than what they are.
More than what society tells them, for sure.
Yes, I am the exact opposite. But what I was saying about embracing my disability or different abilities, I run across so many people in my life who have a disability, and they are very depressed or very down on themselves about not having a disability, not being able to do everything that they wanted to do, but I just tell them, you are capable of doing it. You just have to find another way to do it. Each and every moment of our life, we are given an infinite number of opportunities, and it's up to us to realize and take those opportunities. And if you can't go down one path, or you don't think one path will work for you, and travel down another path. That's the only way that you will reach your personal happiness.
You're so right. Do you think you would have known exactly what you just said unless you had a disability?
No, I don't. Or at least not for a while. Throughout my whole life, I've never been down on myself or about my disability. I've always but for one to go for what I want and do whatever I can to get what I want. Not to sound selfish, but I figure out different ways to do the different things that I would like to do and make me happy.
Yeah. This would be my major message to people who do not have disabilities, is that we really need to take it upon ourselves to focus at those people who do have disabilities in terms of their capabilities, unique capabilities, and not in terms of their disability, because nothing has gone wrong when people opt in with disabilities or create them. It's offering an immense amount of awareness. It's actually rare for me now to meet people who have disabilities that don't have a certain level of awareness, because your illusion is stripped from you. You have to face yourselves a lot of times when you have disabilities. Would you agree?
Yeah. I would totally agree. Yeah.
So do you find that sometimes people with disabilities defend their limitations? They sort of argue for their limitations and argue for why they should suffer? This is something which I experienced a lot in the deaf community.
That's kind of hard for me to answer because I don't do that myself.
This is what I experienced, is that because I spent a lot of time in the deaf community, so that's another disability, right? What I noticed is that, like, they develop this sense of entitlement, sort of, because they believe that nobody on earth is suffering like they're suffering. They sort of sink into a victim consciousness, and the world feels like the enemy to them. But what I wanted to explain to people is why people argue for their limitations and their suffering. It's because they feel condemned, or they feel less than, or they're looking for some kind of relief. And the major message here is they're looking to find relief by giving themselves some kind of permission to be where they are and how they are in a world that says that they're wrong.
Yeah, I go back to what we were saying about society.
Yeah.
And how they label everybody. And that's another quote of mine. Adjectives are used to describe, not to judge.
Yes. Well, weren't you just precious? Oh my God. Okay. So, what I'm actually interested in, I'm looking at some notes that I had written down, because I had some good points to potentially ask you about. Oh yeah, what I was going to explain too is that, like, a lot of people, so they may be thinking, maybe on a spiritual level, I decided this, right? But I don't know why yet. And so my major message is that if you're in a situation where you have a disability, it's really, really crucial for you to start going in the direction of happiness, to do whatever you feel like would make you feel better and feel better and feel better, saying and doing wise and everything. And then once you do that, it will cause you to align with your inner being to a degree that you will finally have access to that answer to that question: why did I incarnate with this disability?
Well, I would just say that for people with disabilities, I encourage everyone to go for the person. Real happiness.
Oh, yes.
But if I have people with disabilities, or should I say people with different
abilities.
Yeah.
So
that is a wonderful way of going about it. I believe that many of the people with different abilities don't quite understand why they are the way they are. Or I've even heard the old saying, why did God make me this way?
Yeah.
That's why we're looking for relief.
Yeah, I think that's hard for even those of us that are sitting on the outside, because we're looking at something that we wouldn't want to experience, because we don't understand the value of that choice that was made. And we're afraid of it happening, I think, to us. That's what I feel like happens with people who are on the outside of it.
And that's also another aspect of another quote I have. Like, you reflect what you project. Whatever you think is your life. So you create your own reality. If you believe that you're disabled and you can't do a damn thing about it, then you are stuck in that negative slow spot. But once you open that box, you got a whole universe on your side.
So do you feel like you chose this?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because I wanted to, as I said before, but I love the lives of people and help people realize what they can do for themselves, not just for people with different abilities, but everybody. Everybody deserves to be happy, otherwise why even be here? We all deserve to do what we want and be happy. It may not go as smoothly as we want them to. However, when we take into account that each and every moment we have an infinite number of opportunities handed to us, we have to take a moment and meditate and figure out which one of those opportunities resonates with our personal happiness the most, and take that route.
So do you think it's possible for people with disabilities to be happy?
Yes. Everyone can.
What would you say to a person with disabilities who said that it's not possible for me to be happy?
Well, then I would ask them why they think that, and break it down to the core reason. Kind of like shadow work.
Kind of like shadow work? I like that. What has been the most difficult part of having a disability for you?
The difficult part. Well, the way I get to growing up, there have been many people along the way that either use me for ulterior, they have ulterior motives, like money, or they use me for my brain, or they just don't have the time for me. Like, oh, you're in a wheelchair. Well, I want to go to this party, but I can't get you in my car. So, forget you. I'm going to the party. But then I have to ask myself, if they did that, are they really my friend? No. I do have a best friend.
So here I've got a good question for you. This is sort of the creme de la creme. You ready? What beneficial things, what capabilities would you never have had unless you had this? I want you to basically share with us what you think the gift of having a disability or different ability is.
I look at what the gift is. Well, the having a disability or different abilities is that's the way to put it. Having a disability gives me the different ability to see or experience the world from a different point of view.
And what is that point of view?
To see how I would react or do things differently than the norm or the mainstream.
Do you think that there are blessings that came along with having cerebral palsy?
Of course. I wouldn't have the friends that I do now, who I'm grateful for, who see me for me and not for my disability or anything else.
Do you think it gave you the ability to have compassion for people?
Yes. Because from what I realized from not only myself but other people with different abilities, many of us have a kinder heart than most people because I'm sure you know that in this day and age we live in a fast-paced world. So it's go. It's moving even faster. For somebody like me, somebody who can't go, we take the time to appreciate the world around us. And we have a kinder heart. We notice everything, we appreciate it. We know what it takes to get around this world and not just be on the go all the time. We like to slow things down.
That sounds like a beneficial lesson, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I think it'd be interesting for most people to know that a disability is not a life sentence. It is actually possible for people to change their disabilities completely, regardless of how genetic they are or non-genetic they are. But here's the catch, ready? Because everyone wants to know that. When I usually get messages from people with disabilities, that's what they want to know. How do I get rid of my disability? Why would you want to? Well, see, that's the fun part. That means you're in a serious level of expansion. So this is what I was going to say. The way that if you want to change your disability, the only way to really do that is to completely embrace it. And not embrace it because you want to change it. Embrace it because it feels better to embrace it than live in resistance to your disability for the rest of your life. But what you'll notice happening when people start to embrace their disabilities, and this is the case with one of my favorite colleague teachers, is that because he's paraplegic from the nipple line down. What he found when he embraced his paraplegic state was that he didn't want to change it because he realized how it enabled him to teach. Because what happens when you're a big, like before the accident, he was about 6'5" and really intimidating. I mean, he's a very handsome man, striking, but he's got a very intimidating persona. And he noticed that when he would start to talk, people would start to shut down. But now, because he's sitting in a chair and because people look at him with that attitude of, oh my gosh, this person isn't intimidating, they're stuck in a wheelchair, they're instantly more open to him. And so he's able to teach to people in a way where they are now open to him. And his greatest happiness now is going around and teaching. And his message, I think, is your message as well. Like, look, if I can be happy with all of this, then you can do that in your own life, which is ultimately the number one reason I wanted you on this Ask Teal episode today. Because I can talk all day long, but if you're sitting in front of somebody, especially if you have a disability, sitting in front of somebody who also has one, who's saying, look, I can be happy, I've managed to do it. You can do it too. That they may actually start to believe that what they're struggling with is not as bad as they think that it is. That they can look for the blessing in any sort of circumstance.
Yeah. And I teach that each and every day to anybody and everybody I come into contact with.
You make people happy, do you know that?
I'm glad.
So I think it's super crucial that those of us who are dealing with disabilities, or those of us who are around people with disabilities, need to start switching our focus deliberately. We need to start looking at what has gone right instead of what has gone wrong.
Right. And anything and everything will happen. I believe that wholeheartedly. And once you put your focus on it and put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything and everything.
So if you had some closing statements, what I want you to do is tell those of us that don't have disabilities what your view on disabilities is and what you would want from us.
Well,
this is your soapbox. You get to talk to the rest of the nation.
Personally, I am not looking for better. I know we talked about that earlier. I am not looking for pity. I don't want anybody to come up to me and say, oh, I'm sorry you're in a wheelchair and all that. I'm not sorry. I embrace it like I said before. This is who I am, and I teach people how to handle it, what to do in certain scenarios, and just empower people. And that's what I'm all about. And I enjoy each and every moment of my life. I never get down on myself because I know deep down inside that I am capable of doing anything and everything. And anybody can ask me anything about my disability. You know, a lot of people ask me, before they ask anything else, may I ask you a question about your disability without you getting offended? Of course. I have nothing to hide. Obviously, you can see my wheelchair. Why hide that? If you wanted to know something about it or any disability, I will answer it to the best of my ability. If I don't know the answer, and I will see you later on, I will say I will get back to you and look it up. So I encourage everyone with or without disabilities to live their lives out and to embrace each and every moment of their day, no matter what their problems are, whatever the things that they are dealing with, all that doesn't matter. We all have the capability of doing whatever we want. We are here to be happy. So why not go for that?
Oh, I like that.
That is the very thing that I teach each and every day. To have people reach for the stars, go for their personal happiness. They deserve it. So I give you all positive energy right here and now.
So, because this is a spiritual show, and what I'm trying to demonstrate is that there's, from your soul perspective, there's a major benefit to coming in with a quote-unquote disability or different ability, right? So let's say that you come in and you're unable to move your limbs because your body is a challenge for you, right? Then you have to learn who you really are, separate from the body.
Yeah.
And so we would consider, from a universal perspective, we would consider someone with, say, cerebral palsy to be, eventually, if they line up with that expansion, not if they continue to focus on the limitation, but if they line up with the perspective like you have, we consider that person to be a master of mind versus matter. It means that you've seen outside the matrix more so than most people who are walking the planet Earth, and that's exactly why you chose to come down like this.
Yeah.
So then, what I want you to do is to tell us what you would want us to think when we saw you. Because you know that when most people walk by somebody with a disability, they go, "Oh my gosh, that poor little guy." What would you have us think if you had your way?
I would want you to see through my eyes and into my spirit.
That is the best answer I've ever received.
And that is what each and everybody should be doing.
I think that's what everyone wants, regardless of whether they have disabilities or not. They want that level of intimacy where someone's capable of getting beyond the external mask of our physical structure.
Yeah. We breathe an important in our society where everyone has some kind of label, and we need to get past that. And the only way to do that, or at least to remove that label, is to look into our soul, into our spirit, and get to know the person inside and see people for who they really are.
Nothing like a label to force you to have to find the real you, right?
Yeah. Right. Do I want to be labeled as disabled or having a disability? No. But unfortunately, society has done that to me. Do I really care? No. Because I make my own label per se. I am outside the box. I'm outside the matrix, as you said. I make my own persona. I don't fall in to one or any set category that society has made or created. That's basically what I said.
So to close, what I want you to do is to tell us whatever final message you think is important relative to the subject of disabilities. This is your major lasting impact. What is it that you'd want to say?
My last major impact. Okay.
I'm sure it'll be just the first of many to come for you.
Yeah. Okay, well, for those who are watching, and I hope there are millions of you, I would like to tell you that you can achieve anything you want, anything and everything. Open your mind, realize that there are an infinite number of opportunities available to you each and every moment, such as now, 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 and if you somewhere down the line make a wrong choice, it's not really wrong because the very next moment you can take a different opportunity and you'll attract your personal happiness to a different route. So again, I encourage each and every one of you to go towards your personal happiness, whatever that may be. And that is basically the meaning of life. And we are all here to embrace our lives, embrace what we are capable of, and I give you lots of love and positive energy in order to do that. And I wish you well. And whether you have a disability or not, it doesn't really matter whether you're black, white, gay, straight, man, woman, whatever. It doesn't really matter because you are you, and you are the only one who can tell what is your happiness. Nobody else can tell you. You have to find that out on your own. And once you do, attract it, move toward it, focus, and just be.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this Ask Teal episode.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and you heard it straight from the source. It's time to embrace your own different abilities, because we all have them. Have a good week.
Wow, that was quite amazing. Really, like I said, I haven't watched it in quite a while. So, that was the first time I've seen that in 10 years. I mean, yeah, so. But, yeah, I love that. Everything I said. Just me and just what we talked about was just awesome. And I still believe in everything that I said in that video. Um, it's an amazing thought. You know, I have written two more books since that video came out. And, you know, I kind of blew up right after the video came out. And I've had people come up to me a lot and ask me questions. They want to know more about my disability and my thoughts on spirituality and all that. So I thought about what she did and started making weekly videos, and I started making my own videos every other week. And my first one, I basically went in more depth with my own disability and um, spirituality, and yeah, so I suggest you watch it if you haven't already. I ended up making 52 videos of me just discussing different topics, just like her. So please check it out. I would love to hear from you, even after 9, 10 years. So, but yeah, there are a few things I would like to mention that were mentioned in the video. And one is uh, the whole negative connotation behind the word disability. When I said that, that was a time when, like I said in the video, people that job, people with disabilities, times have changed since then. But what I meant more was like, I like to say different ability because even though you have a disability, and it's fine having a disability, you need to embrace your disability, embrace your different ability, and use that disability to your advantage so that you can, for lack of a better phrase, rise above so that you can level out with the rest of the world, so that you can use the gift of power that you have within that disability to empower yourself and empower others. So, so that power, that gift is what I was trying to emphasize with a different ability. And also, when you have a disability, you also, like in the video, you have a different perspective than most people do in the world. So you need, you should uh, use that disability, that power and perspective to shed light on the world, let other people know their perspective, show them what it's like to have a disability. And no, I don't mean limit my disability. I mean share that knowledge with the world. Let them be part of your world. Show them what it's like to have a disability. And as you do that, you will grow together. And not only will that help you, but it will help them. And not only will you guys, but so will they. So that's what I meant when I said that. And also, there was a mention prevention of suffering. And I believe Tia was the one who mentioned that. And I know that also has a negative connotation. People with disabilities are not suffering from a disability. They have a disability, but they should make the most of it. How I understand. And they just, people think they are suffering because they are at a disadvantage to most people. But like I said, if you look at it from a different perspective, then they can use that to their advantage to embrace it and finally become one with the rest of the world, so that we are all on even ground. So there is no suffering. There is only looking at it from a new perspective. And I think that's the best way I can approach that topic. And I leave it that way. So, yeah. Um, and then it was also amazing about, what I've done. Yeah, I was thinking of all the different things while the video was playing. So I was going to say that, you know, I went for my own personal happiness. So, um, I'm always wanting to teach. I'm always wanting to get my college degree. Uh, I was very fortunate in my younger years to get into college. However, I did not have the appropriate accommodations, nor was I mentally prepared at the time to finish my degree. So I left college in order to pursue a career or a job helping people with disabilities. And that job really helped me open my mind and get out there and mingle with people and just, even with my spirituality, and show me how to get the appropriate accommodation. So I would like to say that after the job, I was able to finally go back to college and get the degree that I've always wanted. And now that I have that degree, I'm actually went on to graduate school in mathematics. And that's part of why I made educational math videos. And if you haven't seen those, I suggest watching them. And they also go back to if you make a wrong choice, the other wrong choice did I make a wrong choice leaving college? Uh, yes and no, but the point is, I came back and finished the degree. There was no wrong choice, but I said yes because at the time, and when I had my job, I thought I would be able to go back. But what I realized was there are always opportunities out there to do whatever I want and to do whatever I want to accomplish. And that's one thing I wanted to accomplish. So I did that. And look at me now. I have my degree and I'm in graduate school and I am making educational material. I've written 3 whole books on self-empowerment. I travel all over the state, meet new people at conventions, workshops, art fairs, you name it. Um, I'm a social butterfly, and that is something um, I really wasn't when I was younger. So it is a blessing. And I thank Mother Nature for inviting this world to come to me through the law of attraction. And yes, I saw it, so it came to me. Mother Nature just helped me along the way. So, um, and so this video didn't play off, but I wanted to share that with you since today was the 10th anniversary. So I will leave it at that, and maybe we'll do this again for the 20th. I don't know. We'll see where we are at that time. So, for all of you watching, thank you for watching. I hope you continue to watch my videos, whether they be on spirituality or mathematics. uh, I try to combine the two actually. So, um, enjoy the future. and just me. So, again, have a good one, and bless to be, and love and light to you all.